Welcome back to Light for Darkness Ministries. We are continuing our study of Nahum in chapter 1, verses 1 through 6. Let's start by reading out of the Bible. We are reading from the New American Standard Bible. The Oracle of Nineveh, the book of the vision of Nahum the Elkoshite. A jealous and avenging God is the Lord. The Lord is avenging and wrathful. The Lord takes vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserves wrath for his enemies. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and the Lord will by no means leave the guilty unpunished. In whirlwind and storm is his way, and clouds are the dust beneath his feet. He rebukes the sea and makes it dry. He dries up all the rivers. Bashan and Carmel wither. The blossoms of Lebanon wither. Mountains quake because of him, and the hills dissolve. Indeed, the earth is upheaved by his presence, the world and all the inhabitants in it. Who can stand before his indignation? Who can endure the burning of his anger? His wrath is poured out like fire, and the rocks are broken up by him. Now that we've read the Bible verses, let's discuss what they mean in depth. In the first verse, Nahum introduces himself as Nahum the Elkoshite. This means he was from the Elks, which was in Galilee, and his name means comforter. Verses 2 through 3 discuss the judgment waiting for Nineveh. It cannot be stated enough that Nahum is not just a book of future prophecy, meaning near in fulfillment, but also a book with implications for a far and final future, the final days prophecy. So it is important to take heed the warning of Nahum to the Ninevites, because this is our warning as well. There is a common thread. God had already shown the Ninevites mercy, but they took it for granted. We in America have also been taking the blessings of our land for granted to the point of grumbling about little things, even things that we should probably be giving thanks for. We have forgotten how well off we are, which in itself is problematic. Remember in Exodus how the Israelites began to grumble about the miracle bread that God sent from heaven every morning? Most people probably don't think too much about the Israelites with them complaining about a miracle from God. But are we really any different in this day and age than the Israelites that Moses led? If God became angry with the Israelites for their complaining, how much more are we testing God's patience? In these verses, God's wrath is aroused, and the strongest or most skilled man will not be able to withstand the destruction that is about to befall. So too will it be for us in the final days. When God decides to let a disobedient, grumbling people come to an end, who will be able to withstand it? Can any man overpower or overwill God? Let's move on to verses 3 through 6. All of these verses are explanations of God's power. God is creator of the universe. He is Lord over all. Even the wind and sea obey him. To follow God and to respect him and love him is to submit to a loving Lord who will always be able and who will always take care of you. But the opposite is just that. To deny God and to continually disobey him is to reject his protection. But not submitting does not mean the authority is not his. How do we live in a manner that includes us under his protective umbrella? This is precisely why we have the Bible, and within it we have the law of God. We are also given a list in the book of Galatians what the fruits of the Spirit of God are that every Christian should try to emulate. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faith, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. In Colossians, we are given a list that every Christian should strive to separate themselves from. But now you yourselves are to put off all these things: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy language out of your mouth. Colossians 3:8. Remember from our introduction that the chief sin held against the Ninevites was their violence towards other nations and probably with each other. Violence is a result of anger, wrath, and malice, of which filthy language is usually a precursor. As Christians, we need to strive to treat each other with love and gentleness, to put away the things of anger and wrath, and to put on the fruits of the Spirit. We need to focus and meditate and day and night and conscientiously treat our brethren, other people, not just other Christians, but everyone around us, with these things: gentleness, love, kindness, long-suffering, all of it. That is where we are going to end for this time. We will continue next week in the book of Nahum, chapter 1, verse 7. We will be discussing the stronghold of God and how Christians will need to rely on God for their refuge in everything and every day. We hope to see you soon. In the meantime, have a good week. Stand in awe of God and let us not sin.